Rich Neal here from MyWorkpapers with Gordon Gilchrist from 2020. Gordon, how are you today?
Rich, I'm very well, thank you for asking. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Right, for everyone, we've been talking about how this is going to impact with firms, COVID-19. And Gordon's and I have a lot of mutual clients, and also, obviously, Gordon, you've been in the market for how many years?
Well, over 30 years now, Rich. Can you believe that? 30 years since I left Grant Thornton.
I might comment, mate, on the grounds that might incriminate me about your age, but you've obviously got a lot of experience in the industry, and it's good to talk to you to understand how this is impacting your client base. So what are you seeing in the marketplace with your clients?
Well, Rich, as at today, 17th today, isn't it? 17 May? I think it is. Let's pretend it is. Where are we now? What we're seeing, I've been looking out the window like you have, and I think the best example I can give you is to do with the dynamic of the market. It's just moving so quickly. Is one of the big four firms, literally 6 weeks ago, the managing partner videoed the whole firm, 30,000 people, along the lines of, "Don't you worry, chaps, the partners will be taking the hit for this one." 3 weeks later, or maybe 4 weeks later, 2 weeks after that, he sent out another video saying, actually, on reflection, it's not going to be as bad as we thought. In fact, we think we're going to do rather well, and we've actually had to get rid of some clients that we don't think are particularly profitable, so that we can allocate the resources we have to our best clients, who are now asking more from us, not less, as we thought they would do. And then last week, he then comes out with another video for all his 30,000 staff and says, actually, on reflection, it's even better than we thought in terms of workloads. And I say that obviously in the backdrop with people dying, so I don't want to sound unempathetic. But he was saying, here are the new rules to accommodate this surge of work that we are expecting as the year moves on. So the specifics aren't that interesting, Rich, although they probably are. He was saying things like, there is no carry forward of holidays at all. If you booked a holiday, you can't cancel it. If you get to halfway through the year, in this case June, you should have taken half your holiday, and if you haven't, you can't carry that forward. And don't take time off in September, and these are the 5 days you have to take over Christmas. So he was really laying the law down. So from 6 weeks ago, he was saying, don't you worry, chaps, the partners will take the hit, to last week saying, my goodness me, we're going to have such a bonanza. We need to make sure all the resources we have need to be in place come the time. Now that, of course, is now piling down to you and our world of independent accounting firms, some of the nationals, of course, where they have maybe furloughed. 6 weeks ago, they probably were a bit overzealous with their furlough, over fearful. And what PwC and the other big four have come back and said is now being copied by all of our clients at 2020. And I know we've chatted about 3 minutes ago where you said exactly the same thing. They're all being brought back into play because we now realize that of the clients that are left, about 80% maybe, they are asking much more of their accountant, and so we are being asked to help more than we thought we were going to, and hopefully for a fee, Rich, actually.
Yes, well, look, the feedback I'm getting is the same. You know, I've heard stories of some firms that have been furlough out a lot of their staff and only keeping payroll on, but you know, none of our clients have been like that at all. If anything, they're now busier than normal. Sure, there was that initial shock period, and once things settled down after 2 or 3 weeks, you know, firms were actively engaged with their clients and assisting them. And you know, we've seen firms putting together packages of, for example, standard or premium type services that are a fixed fee, that are a generous fixed fee, because people were conscious at the time of money and cash flow, but they were trying to put in place a cookie cutter system that they could roll across all their clients and say to their clients, look, if you want to stay in touch, be kept up to date, access our staff, here is what we're offering you. We're offering a flat fee, fixed service where you can participate. And again, what I've seen is that those firms that have done it well have pushed down the work that they have prescribed that they do across all their client base, and they've pushed it down to the staff that would otherwise not have had contact with the client.
I think that's exactly right, Rich. In fact, I would say needs must, because the senior guys are being asked to talk to their clients and give them a big reassurance, TLC support. COVID-19, of course, is all-consuming, but that doesn't mean that the accounts don't need to be prepared and the VAT returns and the payroll. So all of that needs to still be done. So the accountants are saying, look, young John, would you now please step up? Because I literally, so if you had 50 clients, Rich, and you were calling them and you spent 3 hours on the phone with them talking about their trials and tribulations and how they're going to navigate their way through this disaster period, and I'm sure we will, 50 times 3 is 150. Well, that's a full chargeable month. And the senior guys seem to be the ones that are having all of these conversations. So whilst working from home has got a 10-second commute, the levels of intensity are enormous, particularly on the more experienced guys. And so they are being forced to, I'm pleased to say, delegate down, exactly as you've said, to the more junior members. Otherwise, they would have let them learn the ropes a little bit more leisurely. Needs must say, you got to go home, we've got to learn how to work from home. That we've done now. I know guys that said, over my dead body will they be working from home 8 weeks ago. The very same people that say, this working from home stuff, you know, it's not too bad actually. There's a lot to be said for it. So yeah, I completely agree. So Rich, I'm always intrigued when we talk with your background, because you started this MyWorkpapers some years back now. I can't remember, was it 4 or 5 years ago, maybe more now? I lose track of time.
Well, I'm not as what's the correct, politically correct way of saying it? We're not as old as you or your firm. MyWorkpapers, we started off as a company called Audit Flow in 2009, and initially, and it was after I sold out of a business in America, and I'd come from a background of accountancy. I'd spent 10 years with Ernst & Young as my first career, and my second career was around audience response and tools and software in Australia, England, and America. And we grew that to the fastest growing privately held software in America in 2007, but that's another story. But I started MyWorkpapers, well, Audit Flow back then, renamed it MyWorkpapers, and we originally targeted audit, and there was only a couple of people in the marketplace, you know, the incumbents, the CCHs, and the caseware. And again, we wanted to bring to the market a cloud-based software. So we've been cloud from day one, and we tried to not just focus on limited company audits. We tried to focus on other types of audits that the market or accountants were doing. For example, solicitors trust, real estate trust, academies, etc. So not just limited company audits. And it was always my intention to evolve the business into doing a platform for all engagements that could be done in the accounting firm, from monthly management accounts to year-end accounts to also obviously audit. And we've had quite a lot of success over the last 11 years. We've got offices in Australia, England, a small one in America, Thailand, and we have a partnership in Germany with Dativ. And Dativ is a company with 50 years old, 8,000 staff, and significant revenues. And they've adopted our technology to roll out in mainland Europe. So yeah, not spending too much time on who we are, but you know, the thing I think, like us and like you, we both get to see what happens in a lot of these accounting firms, and again, the key thing is, you know, when we've talked to accounting firms in the past, we've sort of categorized them into different categories: traditionals, converters, and what we're now calling the new normal. You know, the traditional firms are those that traditionally focused on compliance. Converter firm is a name that I coined, where firms were actually participating and moving their clients into the cloud with cloud-based bookkeeping systems. So they were, when I say participating, they were working with them to convert them from desktop-based bookkeeping systems into cloud-based bookkeeping systems. And those type of firms were transitioning their revenue from just year-end and compliance to fixed fees or working with their clients monthly. But now, again, the proactive firms that in this category now, the new normal, they're working with their clients not just monthly, but they're having a touch point now with them weekly. And again, they're assigning which staff that they see would have the impact in helping their clients, because obviously partners don't need to be involved in all this work, nor do senior professionals. A lot of the assistants, for example, bounce back loans.
Rich, just help me out here. I understand traditional, I understand the green, I understand the white, year-end compliance, and year-end compliance maybe not so much work. What's the C and the A?
C and the A is consulting work is the C. So firms are always doing a bit of consulting work, but those are really not in proportion. They were there just as a tag. But and A is audit, and the audit we always represent quite small, because a lot of firms now don't do audits and they've got out of them due to risk.
Yeah.
And again, we used to have a classification called the millennial firm, and they didn't do any audits. It's going to be interesting audits going forward, because I think that there's actually going to be a lot of audits following through past this COVID-19 to review the monies received by businesses. So it's going to be an interesting one to follow.
Yeah. I'm really intrigued with that observation, Rich, because I also have a feeling that after the event, there's going to be some repercussion. People are going to come back and there's going to be some accountability. Say, you furloughed 30% of your staff for 6 months. Why? Because the team that were left behind were working twice as hard to take the workload on. And in actual fact, my daughter works for a large construction company, and in her department, they furloughed half the team, and she literally said that she's doing double the work. Now, to me, that's not what God intended. The other thing that I think, Rich, I'll be interested with your thoughts, is that the next generation is going to be in a very high tax world. Tax rates could go, I'm going to choose a figure as arbitrary, 80% tax to pay for all this. So QED, if you've got any ambition to be a tax planning person, i.e. the C there, the tax consulting, I suspect that's going to be a very large revenue stream for businesses all over the world. Doesn't matter what jurisdiction you're in. I think it's going to be needs much. You're going to have to increase taxes to pay for this stuff, Rich. What's your thoughts?
Well, it's going to have to be paid for. That's the first thing. Look, you can't keep spending money without incurring a liability. And so the government's spending money and it's incurring a liability. Sure, its cost of funding may be low today, but it's got to work out how it pays that. And also the consequences of repaying it will also have an impact on the spend that the government has in different areas. But I absolutely think, yeah, taxes are going to have to rise. If you look at France after 2008, they had a criteria. If you're over a certain amount of income, I think it might have been 150,000 euro, then the tax rates were 80%. They were huge. They were high. Look, it's going to be really interesting to watch what comes out of this. But yeah, I agree. There is going to, you can't have your cake and eat it as well. It's going to have to be repaid. And I think there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on who got the monies, absolutely, because, I'm well aware, and, we've talked offline about the cases that we've seen in our profession as well, where people have been taking advantage of it. But yeah, look, see what happens. We're active in terms of pushing out specific work paper packs. We created a COVID-19 work paper pack that worked within our monthly work paper pack. So we have monthly work paper packs within our application, and we were quick to market to try and assist our client base with how they should address this. And again, have like a McDonald's kitchen, and where you know, you take it from the start and you go through the process and the systemization and work with all your clients in a particular manner and track that workflow and how you deal with it. And again, if new things do come out, as they come out, you know, we'll be quick to react and put them in our work paper packs. Right.
Sure, absolutely.
Moving on. Trying to advance the slide. So look, you know, and just touching on that, you know, there's just preempting that, you know, with our platform, and I'll advance to our platform and what it looks like. But you know, we connect bookkeeping systems to MyWorkpapers. We become the nucleus and where all the work is done, where it's monthly work, quarterly work, year-end work, and then once those numbers are reconciled, finalised, and the collaboration is done internally with review points or collaboration with clients on queries, then once those numbers are finalised, we push out to the accounts and tax. But look, again, the key thing on the new normal firm, which is, you know, was the heading of this presentation, you know, accounting firms, they need a platform where they can communicate with their clients and also internally with their own staff. You know, again, we're all about systems and processes, and we provide a piece of technology and a tool for work, not only work to be done in our platform, but also how you work internally as a business, but also externally with your clients.
So, right. Rich, I was with a guy the other day, and he said, I'm just ringing my clients now, and I'm saying, semi-tongue-in-cheek, but this is having 100% success rate on sales conversion. He said, I am not taking your grubby invoices and COVID-infested receipts. Not happening. So you're going to have to take a picture and send them over to me. He then said, but don't worry, he said, I've got this thing called Team Viewer. All you're going to do is take your computer onto a website. I'll take over your computer and I will install everything you need. And he said, no client's fallen out with me about it. I've had 100%. And he said, I wish I'd done it 3 years ago, to be honest, but he's got the perfect excuse now to say, I need everyone on the cloud. And that slide you've got there in front of, therefore I need to now workflow my compliance business as a compulsive, you know, I'm being rushed into it, but I might as well deal with it sooner rather than later, given the environment we're in, Rich.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting comment because I got an engagement letter from a consultant, which interestingly came in the post, which surprised me. And I didn't even, when I opened it, well, my first thought was, why are they sending me something in the mail, and why don't they send me a PDF with you know, electronic signature, etc. My second, you know, I didn't even think about, should I be touched with this envelope? But yeah, look, systems and processes, but yeah, you know, again, you know, you got to think about the way you do business, particularly as an accountant. You know, one of the things that we do is we take our clients through a journey of, well, let's look at the way you do your work now and how it comes in at the start from the bookkeeping system that your client uses and the processes internally. And every firm we see, we know we can improve the way they do their work, and we know we can save them time on every engagement. And you know, our goal is to try and get them to this next like smooth line on how the work flows through the practice. And yeah, look, I keep referring to the McDonald's situation of, you know, if you've got something that comes through the door and you're trying to make something with it, and as accountants you're trying to make a set of accounts or a tax return, you've got to take it from a process, and there's a number of touch points through it. And as a consequence, you need to systemize and automate as much as you can, and you know, you automate the mundane and you personalize that 20%. And again, you know, once we come through this, there's a whole lot of other things that are opening up with our clients. So, you know, they're asking us now, what type of hardware are we using, and what do we recommend they should use? You know, people have gone from dual monitors to now widescreen monitors and now you can get really large widescreen monitors. but also how do you use Office 365 in your practice, etc. And can you give us examples of that? So as a company, we're going to start filtering out some videos on other firms' experiences on technology, which is like what you're saying, you know, PDFing of documents rather than sending stuff out through the mail. I think the whole technology, yeah, the whole technology coming out of COVID-19 that is going to apply to the accounting profession is just going to fast track everything that's been pushed and kicked down the road. And I don't know what you're seeing.
Rich, I think it's a subject for another day, but it's a huge subject. When I speak to smaller firms particularly, you get the feeling that it's the blind leading the blind, or everyone you talk to has got an axe to grind. So no one can stand, like you can stand semi-independently, because MyWorkpapers can talk to any piece of software coming in and any piece of software going out, which means that you can say, in our experience with 4,000 accounting firms that use our stuff worldwide, the ones that seem to be happiest are the ones that are using QuickBooks or Xero or KPM or whatever it is, and the ones that seem to be happy today. But no, that doesn't mean tomorrow, it just means today. And the other thing that I think that gives away is we can't afford to make a decision for a 5-year IT tactic when the strategy is flexibility all the way, isn't it?
Yeah, they need to be making decisions now, and again, I agree with you. The blind are leading the blind. You know, what we're seeing is that the bigger firms obviously have the budget and the resource to go and invest into technology, and we're not really ready for this because there was no readiness for it, but they were able to carry on working as they could. But you know, for the firms that still use desktop computers, for the firms that still use desktop software, you know, they're scrambling, you know, and I won't mention the software providers, but a lot of them are just focused on how they got their firms working in a terminal server environment. You know, that's history, you know, particularly for an accounting firm. The terminal server environment for me is a thing of the past. Everything is going to be moving to the cloud. I think what will come out of this is people will start looking at their technology stack. They'll start looking for services from the likes of you, where you have a touch point with all the clients and you can see which firms operate well, who's got good profitability, who's got good efficiency, and they'll be asking for guidance in their hand to be held, because they'll be sick of just kicking the can down the road. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a topic for another day. Time's up on this one, Gordon. Thank you for your comments, and we might try and record a few others after this over the coming weeks.
All right, Rich, you're very welcome. You take care. Give my regards to our whole team. Cheers for now.
Same. Thank you.
This conference will now be recorded.
Right. 3, 2, 1, go. Rich Neal here from MyWorkpapers with Gordon Gilchrist of 2020. Gordon, just talking about our experiences and what we're seeing with our clients, and it's got some interesting, well, there is some interesting, and start again. Mate, I'm still settling in. Right, start again. Rich Neal here from MyWorkpapers with Gordon Gilchrist from 2020. Good morning, Gordon. How are you today?
I'm well, Rich. I'm well indeed. How are you?
Yeah, sorry, Gordon. Let's start that again. I called you Gilden. Right, third time lucky.
Okay.
Start. Right, third time lucky. Rich Neal here from MyWorkpapers, here today with Gordon Gilchrist. Gordon, how are you today?
Good morning, Rich. I'm absolutely fine. How are you keeping, mate?
Very good, thanks. And I should have mentioned Gordon Gilchrist from 2020, but I assumed everybody would know Gordon, sorry. Right. Hang on. Everybody stop the recording.
This conference will now be recorded.
That would help. Good morning, Richard Neal here with Gordon Gilchrist from 2020. Gordon, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you, Rich. How are you doing, buddy?
Good, thanks. Right, Gordon and I have been sharing some experiences. We know each other well, and we've been talking about what is happening to our client base and his client base, and also we've got a crossover there of mutual clients. And in the past, I've talked about different types of firms, and Gordon and I have been speaking about hang on, I've got to get water.
This conference will now be recorded.